This is a very important question, which is that if a Muslim finds himself in a situation where he requires an Islamic answer to a situation or an incident that he finds himself in, then who should he refer back to? And quite simply, the individual that he refers back to has to be somebody that is suitable to that role. And this applies to all aspects of life. You need a medical response, you have to go back to a doctor. And this is why we have professions to begin with. And Islamic knowledge or Islamic answers are no different. You need to seek them from the suitable candidates to that. And the suitable candidates to answer the Islamic questions that you are or you have or that you want answered are the scholars of Islam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That ask the people of remembrance if you do not know. Naturally, there is going to be a conversation of who is a scholar and what are the conditions of what constitutes a scholar and what sort of knowledge do they need to have to become a scholar. And from this perspective, us as the general body of Muslims and the average Muslim or the ordinary Muslim will not have the ability to judge who is a scholar and who isn't a scholar because of a lack of Islamic knowledge on our part. And so we can't assess other people's knowledge. And so we have to refer back to in other ways that the scholars of Islam mention, such as what you find in the books of usul regarding who is a suitable candidate to ask a fatwa and seek a fatwa from. And the scholars of Islam mention 5 main ways. And some of these ways may not always be applicable in every single time and place, but the rest can. And so it's important to understand these ways and find a suitable candidate to the question that you have by way of that. The first way is al-ma'rifah as-sabiqah, that you have a previous relationship with this individual. There was a time you needed to ask a question previously and you followed one of these ways that we'll cover shortly, and you found a scholar and that you asked a question to, and as a result of that you know that this individual is or has knowledge of Islam and that he has al-adala, a sound reputation, which makes him a suitable candidate to ask Islamic knowledge or questions, pose questions to. The second scenario is that he is appointed. That he is appointed to al-fatwa, to give fatawa, that he's appointed to al-ifta or at-tadris, such as teaching the people and matters like that. And this is because generally speaking, people weren't appointed to these sort of roles except if they were suitable to that. And so this is then a dalil ala ilmihi wa ahliyatihi lil ifta. This is a evidence that he is a person of knowledge and a suitable candidate to be asked questions. And this is the second way that we know who we should ask, or we come to know of an individual that is suitable of being asked questions. It should be pointed out though that this may not be applicable in all times and places, because this goes back to the aspect of the individual that is appointed. Are they always appointed as a result of them being suitable candidates to these roles, or are there other things in play? And so if sometimes, or if certain times and places, sometimes people take up these roles not because they are suitable but due to other reasons, then naturally this method may not be applicable. The third is that somebody of sound reputation refers us back to him and says, go back to him. And that this person is a person of knowledge, and he describes him with descriptions that suit the people of knowledge, such as their suitability to fatwa and that they are of sound reputation and so on. And this was a way that would predominantly occur in the time of the Sahaba, where individuals would be directed by an individual that themselves is suitable to direct other people to this individual of knowledge, and with that they would go to this individual and ask questions. The fourth is al-istifada, that it is widespread and well known that this individual is min ahli al-futya, is from the people of fatwa and somebody that you should and can ask questions to. And the last is ruju'ul ulama'u ilayh, ruju'ul ulama'i ilayh, that the scholars of Islam go back to him and refer back to him, refer back to his responses to questions and some of maybe his works and so on, and all of that is an evidence of his Islamic knowledge and that he is a suitable candidate to being asked questions. I want to also point the questioner here to two very important points. And number one, what happens if you don't know whether the individual is suitable to answering questions? Then undoubtedly you shouldn't be asking him questions. It is not correct for you to be asking him Islamic questions, and that you should seek these questions from ahlihi, the suitable people to answering these questions, and avoid people that you do not know whether they are people that should be asked or not. We can see in this list as well, ya ikhwan, that not everybody that you may assume is of sound Islamic knowledge is suitable of being asked. If you see somebody in the minbar on Friday, or whatever other things that you might associate with religiosity, it doesn't mean that you can just go and ask them questions. Lastly, it is also necessary for the Muslim to be satisfied with that which you've been given as an answer and as a response to the question that you've asked, that is actually hukmullahi wa shar'uhu. That is the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you aren't satisfied, then you shouldn't act upon that as well.